Welcome to the handsome basketball beat. What a day! Wow, that was perfect.
It was perfect.
That's why
That was
you
perfect.
say
And I
you popped
talked
it
over it.
before.
Yeah,
You
you
popped
popped
it
it.
before.
I
Exactly.
know, but I talked over it. I just ruined the whole vibe.
Yeah. No, this is
We'll have
good.
to.
They all went together. That was nice.
Welcome. This is an exciting time
It is.
for fans of basketball in general, but Purdue basketball particularly. I mean, let's get right into it. How are you guys
Is it
feeling?
an exciting time? Is it an
I'm
exciting
excited.
time?
Well,
I'm
well,
excited.
excitement doesn't always have to be a positive emotion, right? It can be negative or,
It's
and
true.
it can be excitement, like you said. Anish calls, what do you call it? Anxiety season is upon us, or
Yes.
something like
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I
Pepto
think I think
sales
if
and
you don't
Chris
have some
Tucker.
anxiety, I
Yeah,
don't know what's
of
wrong
course.
with you. Because it's this like I've been watching a lot of snippets, in the 5 second world we live in, where just stuff is popping up all the time. If you're on any social media, there's one guy that I just watched. He did a statistical analysis of what the things are that make national championships, and his national champ was Purdue, just based on numbers. He's not that stuff. I got to tell you, that makes me more anxious. Why would that make me more anxious?
Let
Who
me tell you
knows?
though, this is
Yeah,
why I love this season because I saw this post on Reddit today, and this
Yeah.
guy went into depth about all of these different factors that produce national champions, and he said the result of his analysis was the two teams with legit shots of winning were Purdue and Arizona.
yep,
And then this gentleman goes on to give his prediction for the winner. Purdue's out in the Elite Eight,
yep.
and UConn wins the whole thing. Like paragraphs of analysis and then pure emotion
Right.
in the guessing, and that's why I love
Well,
when
it's like
people.
what we were talking about off the air, right? We were talking about Michigan State for those of you who weren't on our text thread today, and Michael says it pretty much. I think you brought it up brilliantly. You said, well, if you're going to take a deep dive and use analytics as the way you choose the tournament, and then ignore it and go just completely pick whatever the hell reason you want to put Michigan State in, right?
In Virginia. Like, let's
In
not let
Virginia,
Virginia
why
off the
not?
hook.
Yeah, there's so many teams that I would say if they are equal qualifiers, if nothing else, right? And
Yeah.
so the funny thing about analytics, you guys are legit numbers guys. I think you've been numbers guys for a long time. I've tried to pretend I'm a numbers guy at times, right? But you can spin this whole thing. You can find an algorithm that can tell the story you want it to tell these days, right? There's so many of them. Um,
Yeah.
One story that I see, it's interesting. Purdue is, in spite of Houston getting absolutely mollywomped, right? They went up in a couple of the
He
algorithms, which I
scored
was like,
41 points in a
I know.
tournament. That's great.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Well
yeah,
done.
yeah. It's amazing.
I think
Um,
that, and this goes back to this, the other discussion that we were having earlier today is, well, why don't we expand the field? We'll have 128, we'll have 256,
700 teams.
we'll have just like however many. Like you and I, we could all just get our friends together and join the NCAA
Exactly.
tournament. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll
Love
make
it.
it a boiled sports challenge. Whoever gives us the most money.
Yeah.
It'll be like a reverse NIL situation.
Yeah.
But like if they expand the tournament, we're just going to get more crappy Michigan State, Virginia teams. We're not going to get
Right.
necessarily like the borderline Indiana State team, which, by the way, no one can convince me that they would rather watch Virginia struggle through a 40-minute than watch like Indiana State and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
That's
and
it.
that
Kareem
just
Abdul-Jabbar. That's it.
amazing collection of talent. Like I would blow off meetings at work to watch them play. I'm not doing that for
Well, you can
Virginia.
do it for the NIT. How about that?
Well, so that's the thing is like
No.
if the well yeah, like if the expansion was low major teams, like I'm in,
Yeah,
like I'm
Right.
always in, like
but
absolutely.
you
This
know it's
is
not going to be though.
Right.
it's absolutely not going
It's
to
not.
be.
It's not going to be. And you build this out wide enough, and you start looking at teams like IU as like imagine if there were 30 more teams or 20 more teams. IU
So,
would
like,
be.
to me, if I look at the Big Ten to go to the next level, it's Ohio State. That's it, right? I don't talk to IU. Nothing changes for me with IU. They were working their way up a slick bubble to try to get there because they had such a bad middle of the season. But I mean, nice finish. Congratulations, Coach Woodson. But to me, like, you let Ohio State in, maybe that's interesting. The thing that I can't get over, maybe you guys can, and we talked about this all year behind closed doors about how the Big Ten, after that top 3 or 4, how much the drop was dramatic, right? We've had years that were legit 8, 9 bid years in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And this year I was like, dang, man, this is a 4 or 5 team conference all year, right? It never really changed. Just nobody deserved more.
I think that we have to be on the lookout this year of 1, maybe 2 Big Ten teams making it out of the first weekend. That's my prediction.
Even on good years, that's happened. I wish we could figure out, the 3 of us could put our heads together and figure out, number 1, how to guarantee Purdue play a seed. If you played a seed, you're in Phoenix, right? And that's like the olden days where Matt Painter would take teams and just play the seed. That's all we ask. I don't think anything more than that's gravy. Got to play the seed, though. I think that's a fair thing to ask for. This year, of course, I think we're all angst-ridden as we look at our brackets, and specifically our favorite team. But the next thing, if you want to, like, none of us care about the Big Ten. Let's be very clear. But why the hell can't anybody out of the Big Ten win a national title? Like, I've tried to analyze it at style of play and the fact they beat the hell out of each other for a month and a half, 2 months. Towards the end of the season, it gets more intense, and we saw it at the end of the season with Purdue specifically. The funny thing, I heard Izzo talk about the Purdue game being like, what do you call it, a wrestling match or something like that. And I was like, it was all you, dude. You did that. You wanted to clog Purdue up and make it into a fist fight, and you did it. And everybody's going to ignore the causation of this problem, right? They're just going to say, oh, Purdue. Look what happens when you play Purdue. It's a fist fight. Yeah, okay, Tom. You threw 3 goons at Izzo. And Wisconsin did the same exact damn thing. And even Illinois did a little bit of it with that one guy, 4 fouls in 4 minutes. And all these coaches I've heard different times say, it's ridiculous. All the fouls that are called. Are you serious?
So that's the thing is they
Oh no.
Oh no, you're very quiet. You're compressed.
Oh,
interesting.
So, interesting.
Yeah. Like you're completely like you're 1,000 miles from the microphone. Michael, what do you think about that narrative that has been hoisted up by Chris Collins and Tom Izzo? I mean, and Brad Underwood and Greg Gard.
Those coaches are in charge of the style of play that their teams play, and Izzo has always been a drag it to the mud when it comes to Purdue. I will say that something I think we can all agree on is that officiating, especially in the Big Ten, is terrible. It's awful, and you can always. I would say
it's so terrible in NCAA basketball. I mean, I don't know if you guys spend a ton of time like watching other games. I just watch them. I'm like, I'm perplexed by how bad it is. Right? I mean, we all know the reason. These guys are traveling all the time. They're not. They're tired. They're not that good at what they do to begin with. The certification is not good. There aren't that many people who want to do it. Pick a reason, but the way they officiate, the fact they're such an important part of the game. When the game's coming down, the crowd's going nuts, and they're partying in the stands pretty much with the way they're calling charge and block. Right? I mean, it sucks.
You can point to, I would say, double-digit calls every game that could go the other way. And I think what that does is it lends a certain amount of variability to the outcome of these games, meaning how your team falls on either side of those types of calls can make a big difference. Purdue has been so much better than any of its brethren this conference season, so it hasn't mattered as much. But now, it may matter.
Yeah. Manish, can you try to
I think I got it. I think I got it back.
Yes.
So
what are you doing between? Are you just like on a mixing table, like
Exactly.
a DJ,
That's
screwing
exactly
around
it.
with levels?
I'm making remixes over here, live
awesome.
remixes, like while the
Very
podcast
good.
is going.
Very good.
I do think though the one thing is that nobody ever complains. The amount of complaining about Zach Edey is really limited to social media, and it's not limited to people that played. It's not limited to people that used to coach, like Jay Wright. Or meaning like it doesn't include those folks, right?
No.
The only people complaining are people that kind of vultured in at this time of the year and are like, oh, Zach Edey is this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And like part of this is like you hear opposing coaches, but you hear them talk about the whistle.
Right.
So really what they're trying to do is like they're trying to influence the game so that they
steer
can
it. Yep.
They're trying to steer it, like they're trying to do the Izzo thing. You never hear opposing players talk about Edey like the general public, like the people that vulture in right now do. You never hear like retired coaches who are on these panels talk about Edey the way that social media does. Like you don't hear that. All you hear, like current players, former players, current coaches, former coaches, they all like are kind of in awe of Edey, right? And the current coaches are just trying to get a different whistle, but nobody's saying, that guy's not good. He's only good because he's tall. He's not really, it's a bad system, right? Like that is limited to the poison that is Twitter. It's
So
just
let me ask you guys a question, okay, real quickly, because my son brought this up earlier today, okay, and he said, simple question. He said, who's the most hated Big Ten basketball team? And I don't know what caused it. He probably read something and it caused him to think. And it's funny. If you just read, obviously it's easy for Purdue fans to hear this and see this. If you just read my feeds, I mean, gosh, Purdue is hated.
It's Purdue. I think it's Purdue by
what the hell, man? Like, I mean, like I kind of love it because I'm like, let's all band together and face the outside and fight our way out. But I can't believe how quick this happened.
It's really strange. It's really strange, though, that Illinois has a player, their star player, with an active rape charge against him that they purposely deferred the trial to until May. Convenient, right? It's weird how that works.
It does work out well.
We don't want to interfere with his bright future.
And their coach is
let the law get in the way of that.
Yeah, their coach isn't the most charismatic guy, let's say.
So can I ask you guys a question about that too? I told you I wrestled with this early in the season because you watch Underwood, his head is popping off, right, during a game. Gene Cady was similar on the sidelines, just from a stylistic thing, right? And everybody, universally, people say Gene Cady is an absolute angel of a man. He's just a wonderful guy. I've met him multiple times, and I agree. I'm obviously very biased, right? I listen to Underwood in some pressers. I'm like, he's pretty good in the presser. So are you guys, I don't want to say snowed at all, or do you guys buy into the presser version of Brad Underwood or no?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. All right. I think he is absolutely from the line of Robert Montgomery type of coaches.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like let's like people that can charm the media. Like have enough charm to charm the media and to recruit, parents and of high school kids, but then like are complete jerks in the like when it counts, right?
I think the name that's more evocative of Katie is Izzo. I would say Izzo is I had the good fortune of being fairly close to the court during the regular season Michigan State game, and Izzo is a psychopath.
Yeah,
the whole game, whole game, he's losing it.
He's losing it, and he looks like he's gonna put harm on himself or someone else.
Yes,
right? All the time.
Way out of control. And then the game's over, and he's sitting there just like yucking it up with Mason Gillis, like they're having a good old time. And
you were on row 4, right?
Row 4. It was so funny to see because that was a very genuine interaction, and he had versions of that with most of the Purdue players.
Yeah.
So, and I know that Izzo, there's not a lot of love with him in Purdue corners, but this is this is how he's able to recruit. Is he doesn't have quite.
He can turn the switch off.
But I would say Underwood. I wouldn't put Underwood.
Exactly. I wouldn't say the same thing. I wouldn't say the Knight thing about Izzo. I think Izzo, I could see the like the on court thing of Gene Kitty. Like, and that's the thing about Painter is that like it's sometimes it's you kind of want to see the the ref manipulation a little bit, but like it's just so much better that he's not an embarrassment, right? Like it's just
sarcastic. He's different. Yeah. He's known for being sarcastic. Like during the when Edey got that technical foul, he said something to the effect of Painter did to the refs, like, "Well, thank God because we're all here to see you," or something along those lines.
Awesome.
Some very like
Did you listen to Paint's comments about the technicals and the double technicals specifically during his press?
Yes, I would love.
It was pretty great. So he first thing he said, like, it was totally cut and dry. They said, "What do you think about all these double techs?" Because I think they said there've been 4 on Purdue this year. There have been a couple in the last 2 games. What do you think about this, happening? He says, "Well, first thing on our side, I'd just say, shut up, guys. Just play basketball. Let your play do the talk."
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. And he didn't say, he said, "Shut up, guys." And he was talking about what we had. Was it Lawyer, Edey, Mace, and Edey? Does that sound right?
For what?
For the double technicals issue?
You're forgetting the best one,
Okay.
which is everyone's favorite transfer against IU.
Oh,
Ray
yeah.
Jones. Remember that one? That one was fantastic.
That was a good one. Yeah. Very good. So I think Lawyer's out because Lawyer got an intentional and didn't get the technical.
I think that's
right.
I think you're correct.
But then Painter expounds a little bit and he starts going into, he said, "Well, it's an easy call. The refs can just say, okay, you each get a shot and no harm, no foul." It's a weak way to officiate, really, because it's them saying, "I really don't want to make a decision here." Right. The funny thing is, like, and I brought this up about the Wisconsin double technical specifically. I'm like, if you look at that play, there are 4 Wisconsin guys around Edey. That was them baiting him into it, and he bought into it. And I wasn't bothered by it because I didn't care about the game. But obviously, in the NCAA tournament, like, I'm like, okay, when points are at a premium and a team's trying to get under your skin, that's because that's what they're going to do. Then at that point, you just got to say, okay, I just got to get pissed off and play pissed off, right?
I don't think that gets called in most scenarios. Wow. I don't know. Maybe
don't put it past them, right, Michael? I mean, like, that's the thing. Sure. We haven't seen TV Ted in the Big Ten in years, right? He got taken off the Big Ten officiating list, but maybe we'll get lucky and get to see him in the tournament.
I'd rather him than Courtney Green. That's for
sure. No kidding. But Ted Valentine, he's how old? 115 now.
Looking pretty good.
His face only looks like it's about.
He looks pretty good for 115.
He looks great for his age.
I would dream of.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't matter how he got there, but he looks a lot younger than he did 10 years ago. Right? I do. By the way, Michael, I can say you still got hair on the top of your head. I don't. This is not just for fashion. Okay, I don't have hardly any hair on top of my head, and that's not all I've got going. Right? I've got a lot of aging things happen. Ted Valentine does not age.
This is a basketball podcast, not a Dowd's prostate podcast.
I think you should grow. I think you should grow out the cul-de-sac. I think you should grow out the old cul-de-sac and show it just for one winter.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think that's a great idea.
For one Halloween, you should just grow it out.
Why isn't it called the cul-de-sac? Well, that's the perfect.
Oh, I call it the cul-de-sac. That's it.
Yeah.
You know exactly what it is. It's just
Yes. Oh, I've never heard.
It grows fast. I can tell you, my cul-de-sac. This stuff, boy, it grows quickly. It's
like a chia pet.
It's so slowly on top. Like I tried to do it once a year just to piss off my wife. I'd say, like, you know what? Let's grow it out. Let's see what happens. And one year I grew it out on top, and I was starting to part it. Kind of, Michael has good hair up there, and I used to part my hair back in the day, and I started to brush it over. There's not much to brush over, but down the middle, I was still growing. So then I was like, one day I came out, I just had the mohawk, and I kept the mohawk all through. I used to travel to China for work all the time. I kept the mohawk an entire China trip. And the guy who was traveling me is like, dude, the mohawk, that's a good traveling buddy right there.
So
when your poor wife, what did she ever do to deserve?
I don't know. She's
any of that.
When Purdue gets to the Final Four, grow out your mohawk. Grow out your mohawk starting now, and maybe the next time, maybe next tournament, by then it'll be there.
Right. Yeah, I could have, like the power symbol. That's kind of my hairline, right? There's a strip down the center, and then I've got the thing around there. So the cul-de-sac and it's really, really nice.
How is there? I can so see this being an animated character on like Bob's Burgers or something like that. I don't understand how this isn't great. You are like a
how you
cartoon
haven't drawn
character.
this yet. You need
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
I've done some AI versions of my hairline. I think I've sent them to you guys. They are wonderful. So it looks really, really good.
And illustrate a self-portrait.
Great.
We need a self-portrait with this now.
Right. Well, maybe things go well if I'm plenty in 3 or 4 weeks.
I was going to say, we have a couple people mentioning tattoos on the side, and there are some tattoo promises that have been made over the years, concerning Purdue basketball.
Are you guys both in that group too?
I'm definitely in that group. I don't have it. I'm actually the only one.
You're inkless. That's right. Yeah, Michael getting another tattoo, no big deal. Look at the
you know that I'm down. Like I require no special moment. If you guys want to get a tattoo now of something random,
right now, we'll all get matching.
Right now, I don't care. I've got an artist in Louisville. We can go see them and
let's go.
No.
So I only have one tattoo. It's on the inside of my arm. Okay. So like the thing you a lot of people have tattoos that you crave. You crave symmetry, right?
Look at that.
Oh.
I was gonna say, show us that again on the inside of your arm, real quick. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What's on the show the?
Well, mine's it's tough to see here,
subscription rates up,
but it's supposed to look like a barcode, and it's got my family's first initials in their handwriting, and then I've got a cross, each of their initials, and an American flag, and so like I wanted it to be just for me, so it's against my body. You can't really see it. It's funny. I coached kids for a long time, and I got this tattoo when my daughter was 2, and so her handwriting is what I guessed it was going to be, and that's the only one that's fudged. So but it was hilarious when you're coaching little kids. I mean, you may know this, Michael. I don't know if you coach, and you have ink. Sometimes they're a little put back. They're like, "Whoa, wait, is that a tattoo?" I mean, yours is you're not covering yours up, but mine, I'd do like this, and they'd see it, and they'd be like, "Whoa!" And they'd say, "Is that a tattoo?" I said, "No, it's a birthmark." I'd always say that.
Very self-conscious about
it. I don't want anybody to see it.
When my nieces were little, they would color mine in with markers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
So you'll get the BS tattoo on the other side now.
I can tell you what I've got planned, and I've been planning this since Purdue went to the Final Four in Houston because Jay lived in Houston, and it was very simple. Motion P with the year that they go to the Final Four. And we thought they would go to the Final Four that year because they were in Houston. Jay lived in Houston at that point. And you had a really good team lined up to go to the Final Four that year. And it didn't quite work out.
Oh, it didn't?
No, you don't remember that?
No, don't spoil the ending.
Oh, yeah.
Don't spoiler alert. Don't tell you. Come on.
What is that, 2014, 13, right in there? Is that right?
No, that was early. That was
earlier than that. I'm so bad with years.
Yeah, that was the 10 years. That was the Hummel.
That's exactly right. 2010.
Because the next year was Indy, and Butler took the storyline away from Purdue.
Yeah. And so that was neat. I always say I'm surrounded by Butler fans because my brother went to Butler, his best friends went to Butler, and so we talk a lot and text a lot. And whenever I talk, I'm like, what a damn gift you guys got in Brad Stevens. I mean, it's ridiculous, the fact that you got to go to the finals twice, almost won it once, really, really almost within half of a heartbeat of winning one of those. And I mean, to live that, to feel that, like when people start talking, like you were talking about the Arizona and Purdue making the 2 final, whatever statistical, analysis, they're the teams that should go. The same one that I just watched had Purdue and Arizona, and it had Purdue winning. And I listen to these people who aren't Purdue people saying this, and it does a weird thing to me emotionally. Like I start going, I can't, I just can't. Like, I don't even know what I'm like. I can't imagine that world of the day after Purdue wins a national title. I can't even imagine the day after they earn their way into the Final Four. I really can't. I can tell you, I would be like, I get to go. We're going to go to Phoenix. We got to get some
the question then for the two of you. I mean, this is 2 years in a row with the number 1 seed, 2 years in a row with a really good team.
What happened last year, though?
How it doesn't I don't remember. Swallowed up by
Canceled. They got canceled.
Yeah, the whole thing.
How are you feeling going into the tournament this year compared to how you were feeling last year?
I tweeted this out. I thought after the FDU loss and after Zach Edey came back, I was like, this year's going to be miserable because every game, it was the line.
That quote, your quote is
every win is meaningless and every loss is a referendum, right? I thought it would be that. And it turned out that Purdue only lost 3 times, so there weren't that many referendums. It was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome.
Thought they're going to win 6, they're going to lose 6 or 7 games.
I thought that, a normal season. Yeah. Well, 3 regular season, and then this one that none of us really cared about, right? The Wisconsin game that none of us really cared about. But 3 losses during the regular season, all of them to mediocre Big Ten teams. Like there are any other types of Big Ten teams this year.
Illinois is a good team.
Illinois is a good team. That wasn't fair, but I don't take it back because I would like all of the slander against Illinois to stand.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And there's our
welcome to the Handsome Hour.
Exactly.
Sorry, did I?
You got to talk into the microphone.
Sorry, I'm so excited.
So Michael, our infrequent contributor, asked us how we're feeling.
Want to start over
into this? Yeah,
exactly. Ready? Hold on. Let's do the intro.
I thought Jay Money and I coordinated our outfits here, our home field apparel outfits. Enter Boiled 23.
Did you ever look at that? That's awesome.
He's got the hoodie. I have the crew neck, befitting our age gap.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's good.
I thought all year it would be miserable because every loss or every game that would mention FDU, and it turns out. Braden Smith turning into one of the best point guards in the country was fun. Zach Edey winning, basically wire-to-wire, player of the year, being the player of the year favorite was awesome. All of the role players stayed, like we talked about last week. They all stayed, and they all took a step forward. Lance Jones was awesome. So what I experienced is actually the inverse of that. The entire year, I felt no stress at all. Every game, I was fine. Because I knew that Purdue was really good, that every piece of the puzzle was there, and so I kind of wanted that to extend forever, because it's just meaningless. Purdue is awesome. Purdue's clearly one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the country, and it's fine.
You came to the realization sooner than I think most people. Some have not yet. That there was literally nothing over the last 4 months that could be done to change how you felt about how last season ended till this week. There's nothing that could be done.
I tweeted at the end, after the loss, is that the season begins now, because it really feels like the season is starting now. Everything else was.
To that point, Jay, though, I don't feel different about how last season ended, but what I do feel is a level of gratitude that was wow, this year is probably one of the most fun years or 2 years that we will have watching Purdue basketball.
It's the best 2-year run in any of our lifetime.
Yeah, but here's let me give you I don't want to do this to you, but I kind of do. How fun would that fun season have been if it was coming off a Final Four?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go to a Final Four, in fact, I heard Dan Hurley interviewed today, and he's a pretty good interview. And they asked him,
he's an absolute psychopath when he's not interviewing.
Yes, correct.
Yes, no, but in interviews he's very calm. And
he is.
So they asked him,
another bipolar coach,
but he gives honest answers. And they said, did winning the title, does it make this year feel like less pressure? Which a lot of coaches can be like, no, of course not. I want to. And he said, yeah, of course. He's like, winning the national title made this year more fun because I we didn't have any pressure, and it made us play better.
That is such the correct, honest answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It made me kind of like him a little. I know he's a psycho, but I don't know, man. He's
challenged multiple people to fights.
He might stab you.
Nobody here has ever gotten
direct.
No.
Nobody here has ever, squared off with somebody.
No, but the fact that he's coming off the court and he's challenging a 20-year-old, another game he's challenging an 80-year-old coach.
Do you know what I watched today? Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I just watch random. I know we all go down the YouTube rabbit hole and watch random basketball highlights. Or which one I watched today? You're all going to know and love it. It was. Do you remember when Matt Doherty and Christy Collins almost got in a fist fight 20 years ago?
Yes,
I do.
First of all, bring it up and look at it because Chris Collins' suit is amazing. It's a like a khaki number, but remember how the jackets in the early 2000s were like a giant rectangle?
Oh yeah,
button.
the shoulders were out this far.
The shoulders were way out.
Yeah.
It was
adorable.
so fun to look at that. You talking about picking a fight. Doherty is all the way down in front of the Duke bench because there was like a scuffle.
Yeah.
He's in front of the Duke bench and he's talking to Duke players. So not that I'm going to defend Collins, but Collins was like, "What are you doing down here?
What are you doing?"
They're both jackasses, but then of course they get in each other's faces. Nobody
By
gets.
the way, did you guys see there's a clip last week? Ron Hunter, the old IUPUI coach.
I love
He
Ron
was
Hunter so
who was
much.
who was he coaching against? Where he's
Herm's
like he's acting silly. He's acting kind of funny.
It was Penny.
Yes, he's coaching Hardaway, and he went down. He sat on their bench, and their assistant's like, "What's going on?"
What's even better is that those were two different games. There was one game where he Memphis and his team, where he is now, I forget. Yes, I think he's moved from Georgia State. He's now somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like their teams got into a fight, and him and Penny are apparently really good friends. Okay. And so as they were trying to separate their teams, like he got into like a fisticuffs little thing with Penny, fake fisticuffs thing with Penny Hardaway, and everybody started laughing. Right. The separate thing was like he just went and sat on the opponent's bench.
And the assistant coach had no idea what was happening, which is funny. And he looks kind of like, and then a second later, he's laughing it off. The assistant coach he was just sitting next to. And I loved it. I was like, yeah, Hunter's a pretty fun guy. And he seems like a genuine dude.
I should have known this. I was wearing, for my green St. Patty's Day, I was wearing my Tulane, the wave shirt.
The angry beach towel.
That's it.
Yep,
it's fitting of that. So, honestly, Michael, to answer your question, I felt great all year, and now the anxiety monster has peeked its head. I am in pieces right now.
Hello, old friend.
What is the anxiety monster most worried about? Is it just the situation? Because the draw, when you look at Purdue's bracket, my conspiracy theory is the tournament selection committee was like, damn it, we're getting Matt Painter.
Give him a break.
It feels like it.
It's a great.
A few people have said that. I just heard that on the radio, literally driving home right now. Someone's saying that. And I know why people are saying that, but they still have Tennessee, Kansas, Creighton. Like, there's some good.
But Jay, you're missing something. And I used to miss this too. We're all missing this point. And I want everyone to listen to this. Everyone who has ears.
Just get closer to the speaker.
You don't play all of them.
No, but you could have to play.
But it doesn't matter.
Kansas
Tennessee and Creighton are one team, right? It doesn't matter. The strength of the region doesn't matter. And I don't know what took me so long to get to this point. I'm like, it really doesn't matter. It's half of those teams. Okay. And if you look at the path, Purdue, handle your effing business. You should run through this.
I have a rebuttal. Just close your eyes. Imagine for a minute a scenario where all you need to do is beat a 15 and an 8 to go to the Final Four. Imagine such a scenario.
Yeah.
So don't talk to me about
No. I'm telling you all of my NCAA tournament theories and feelings and things that I accepted as, I don't want to say facts, but like solid theorems. They're all gone after last year. And I said this in the post game. I said, or the NCAA selection, the tournament selection thing. I don't know where to stand on. That's my thing. I don't feel anxious.
Nothing makes
I'm just
sense
like,
anymore.
I don't know anything anymore.
No, I agree. Nothing.
Like it used to be, okay, if you're a 1, you beat a 16. I was so confident. I say this, you guys know this. There are 7, 6, I'd put you guys in this group. I bet there are 7 to 10 people I can watch a Purdue basketball game with.
I know
where the stakes are high, and they're okay with me being a lunatic, and I'm okay acting like myself. Okay?
And last year you said, you know what?
Let's open up the doors. B-Down's house is open. Let's all watch together.
The flood of memories of text messages describing the scenario are just hitting me like waves right now. I'm so sorry that I'm laughing, but
it was a horrible
laughing in an understanding way.
For sure.
I kept trying to get further away from the people that I invited over. Because there are certain people, I love them. When I say I love them, they are some of my favorite human beings in the world. But I can't watch a game with them that matters because I want to strangle them or kill myself. Like it's like something's going to happen. It's going to be violent.
This
And
is,
so,
this
like,
is a
I'm
healthy
like,
hobby that we have. Yes.
yeah, it's a very, very good hobby, isn't it? But so I retracted to this very chair. There's a TV right there, and a couple of people that knew I was trying to shrink,
Right.
trying to watch my tongue so I didn't yell F-bombs to my mom and my uncle and my daughter. And I mean, like, goodness gracious, like, it's sick. I know it's sick.
It's a lot,
And so I
Purdue.
come in here, and the people that kind of were like either getting me, like I had he's my cousin, god brother. He comes, watches Boiled Sports. He gets me really well. He's one of those 10 people that I can watch in any circumstances. And then his daughter comes in, and she is beside herself. And then my nephew comes in, and they start talking aloud. This is going to happen, isn't it? And they can see, and they've been told by their parents, 16s don't beat ones.
Right.
And we're watching it happen, and we're all dying a little bit. And these young kids are saying, I'm going to have to deal with this tomorrow. They're starting to think about school and living in central Indiana and the hell that's going to rain down on them because they wear Purdue gear all the time. Right.
Well,
And my gosh.
The good story is that, and again, I think the one thing, and we will also, I will speak for at least three of us on this podcast. I don't think we're worried about the 16 game again. That being said, the only thing that could possibly be worse is if there is a part 2, and that'll be fun. That stress that you will feel at halftime if it's tied.
Oh,
with
God.
Grambling or with Montana State. My wife's alumnus, by the way, similar to you, J Money.
Grambling?
With FDU. No, Montana State.
Montana State.
Yeah, Montana State. I banned all of the Big Sky gear. I banned all of the Big Sky gear from the house this
I
week.
love Montana State. I love the state of Montana. I love Wyoming. I love Big Sky. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
It's Americana.
it's the
It's beautiful. It's fantastic. I sound like Trump right now. Beautiful, fantastic. No, I do. I love it. And I'm like, you know what? You shouldn't feel that way. We shouldn't be banning the Big Sky gear. Your wife has a legit attachment.
Nope.
If she does that, which is really weird since he's got the Purdue and the Montana State thing there, seems kind of weird.
I heard it great. I just had to share this before I forget. It was such a some aside. I might have been on one of the many YouTube podcasts about basketball, but somebody made a great joke saying that Bill Self is probably sitting there thinking, so I got to get through Matt Painter and Rick Barnes and go to a Final Four.
No problem.
Yeah. I mean,
let's here's the thing. Okay. Like, the internet's a funny place, right? Because if you get in some comments, whatever, that, like different places, they'll start saying Purdue always chokes in the tournament. And I always say,
Right.
Are you 3 years old? Are you 4
Right.
years old? Because before that, they didn't choke in the tournament. They would play to seed. And I'll just kind of try to be logical, which is dumb, right? We all know that that's dumb. But let's also remember, Bill Self and Kansas have had some problems in the tournament.
absolutely.
Right? And so, like, sure, Bill Self wins national title, so everything gets scrubbed clean. That's very, very easy to say. I would say if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, I would say Kansas is pretty damn close to the ropes right now.
A lot of people
They are playing with
picking Samford
injuries.
over them.
What'd you say?
A lot of people are picking Samford over them.
Yes. I mean,
pretty
this
injured,
pick.
yeah.
I
don't
like
think it's
Samford and McNeese. Both.
I have
McNeese I like
McNeese
a
in the
lot.
Sweet 16 on my
McNeese is going to win.
Boiled
They're going to
Sport
beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a
bracket.
You got him there, huh? You're so
Gonzaga's a
wicked.
wounded
Yeah.
bird.
I looked at this though. It's 8 straight years making the second weekend for Gonzaga. I mean, that's almost certainly going to end this year. But like, that's absurd. Like, that is ridiculous. I mean,
they've been on-
obviously,
they've been on
but
that.
like,
That's the thing at the best peak of their program. I mean,
Okay, so you've got in Purdue's half of the Midwest, you have Kansas, which is injured and not playing well, Gonzaga, which is underperforming, and then you've got a bunch
They're
of
not that good. Yeah.
then you don't really have anyone good after that.
Utah State's the one everybody should worry about, in my opinion. Not
I'm not-
TCU, Utah State. I'm telling you, I watched a lot of Mountain West basketball. Utah State and the Mountain West in general scares me.
yeah, they were good.
let's bring the tradition. Let's bring on the tradition of sharing the bracket and just kind of scrolling through
Yeah.
it just for a reference. Here we go. So here's the first weekend. That's it. I mean, this is it. So Utah State again, like what you said the Mountain West got 6
Purdue
teams?
and Western Kentucky in the Final Four. I love it. Let's go.
Well, yeah, Brandon Newman revenge game.
All
But
He's
Purdue
playing in
final.
Indianapolis, by the way.
Give me
Everyone should go support former Boiler. Brandon.
By the way, I went and double checked tickets today because I was like, okay, sure, I'll go if I can find them for a decent price.
man.
They're up. Yesterday when I recorded the selection show,
Somebody was saying
they were 300. No, now they're up to 394 for way up there.
Yeah, that's not worth it in any stretch. Like I don't know that I'd pay that.
There's no way I'm going to a tournament.
You've said that before.
No,
To me, we've had this discussion before. To me, and we did this, the Elite Eight to me
Louisville
is the
was
round to be
beautiful.
at. But to be, I want to be at the game where they achieve the dream of the Final Four and cut the nets and win a region. To me, that is the game to be at more than even the Final
Do you know how much that ticket's going to cost if they are in that position?
Well, we did that. We were in Louisville for that
I
position.
know,
That's
but
only
in
Louisville.
Detroit again, like there are so
But
many
Detroit-
Purdue fans that I know. They're like, yeah, I bought Indy and Detroit tickets last May, and I'm like,
But seriously,
holy crap!
Isn't Detroit? Is that further the same as Louisville? What is that?
So
Further.
Detroit's about
Further.
4
It's
hours.
further.
Louisville's about what 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so my
Two and
point
a
is, why Louisville? They were somewhat reasonable. I remember.
It's not about.
What?
It's about having to sit there. Like Dowd was just talking about the amount of people that he can be around. and
Oh,
still
but
come off as a normal person.
but
I cannot sit there in a small seat and watch Purdue go down 5.
I will
to
tell you,
13 in
though-
the second half.
I will
can't
tell
do
you
it.
though that we were at that Louisville game, and the reason that it was tolerable is because it felt like everybody, so many people who were special to Purdue were in there. Like so many people we literally ran into. Like and so it felt like we were in a place with people you could watch with. Like,
There's no one that I could watch. That's my point. Is that there's no one that I can.
Well, I could
Because I don't want to
think-
wind up meeting people. Like I don't want to get into a fight with fellow Purdue fans, and I don't want to be like a big crying baby on the way back to my car. Just let me watch the game in the darkness of my shop by myself.
You have the best. I mean, you have
Inside.
a building dedicated to watching games alone, which I have to respect. That is a nice rich guy.
It is fantastic,
feature.
and it's tough when a bad game goes down. It's tough being out there. I gotta be honest, but still better than being around other people.
When we almost went to Columbus for it, like we almost went to Columbus for the
Anish
game last year. That
Had
would
me
have been
convinced to. He worked on me for a while. He was
Easy
like,
drive
Come
for you
see
guys.
Zach Edey in the NCAA tournament. Just come out to my place after they beat FDU, and then we'll drive to Columbus and we'll watch the second round. And I was like, I cleared it at home. I said, all right, Saturday I'm going to drive out to Pittsburgh. They were going to play on Sunday, and then we sold them.
Yes.
We didn't go. We didn't go. Spoiler.
Yeah, we didn't end up there. So we got Montana and Grambling. They are both 16 seeds.
Montana State.
They're fairly similar kind of profiles, and neither of them. FDU last year forced a lot of turnovers. I do think that Grambling might, but both of them, Purdue should dominate. And I know that Bowler Dowd and Jay Muddy, we've talked about this. This is the one where we're kind of not worried because it's
You're always going to be the requisite amount of worried. Every game is in a single elimination tournament. You're always going to say, well, yeah. I mean, but
the requisite amount of worry.
I
But
think they're going
this,
to kill them.
I
think
hope
they're going
so.
to dump truck them.
Oh,
I
hope so.
felt that way for 2 months. This team is more focused than any Purdue team I can remember. As far as there's no goofing around. I don't mean goofing around like you can't have a good time. They just seem it's business.
Mature.
They
Yeah.
come
Business
back
like-
after a loss and win.
And think about this team going into Illinois when they had literally nothing to gain except to stick it in Illinois' eye and win it outright on their floor. That kind of a win to me is like, man, that says so much about a team never taking a night off. Like their losses were, very rare, and sometimes you get beat. It wasn't like, this team had lapses. I think over the last 5 to 7 years, right? There were elements of those teams where some nights they just did not look. I don't even want to talk about specific players, but I know Boiler Dad, there were players you thought were kind of being goofballs when the team was not playing well. And it was like, well, why aren't you guys more mad about this? Why aren't you guys taking this more seriously? And I've not seen that with this team at all.
Second game in Indy, Utah State, TCU. TCU, Jamie Dixon, like a Jamie Dixon team, like, a pretty kind of standard gritty Jamie Dixon team. Utah State, 6 teams, I think, from Missouri Valley. Was that what
Mountain
they
West.
are? Or the Mountain West?
Mountain
I'm sorry,
West.
the Mountain West.
Mountain
Thank you. I know it was M.
Utah is not in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah. Hey,
They're not even close, but that doesn't matter anymore.
I was
true.
going to say
Stanford's in the ACC. So
I was going to say the ACC team, Stanford and Cal. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, exactly. It's just the C.
West Virginia, Big 12.
But Utah State won it, right? I'm pretty sure they ended up winning the conference, and they have 6 teams in the conference, and so like that's a real team. Again, Purdue should be better.
San Diego State's no joke. I mean, San Diego State, to get past them by themselves, that's a big deal. So,
Purdue should win, and it's in Indianapolis, and it's not like TCU and Utah State's got to have a lot of home crowd. But as we saw before,
the only people rooting for Utah State or TCU in that game are IU alums.
Exactly.
IU Subway fans, whatever.
All of the
into the arena.
All of the non-Purdue fans in the arena will be rooting against Purdue. I mean, like, that is what it is with a number one. That comes with the territory.
How it goes.
Yeah.
But we went to the Arizona game, and it was actually surprising that Arizona had so many fans in Indy in the field house. But there were, it was basically Mackey. Like it was loud, it was energetic, it was awesome. So I'm kind of hoping that carries the day for the first 2 games.
I think it will. I think that will.
Utah State has lost to Colorado State, Nevada, and Bradley. I'm not
good teams.
Colorado
State's good.
I almost think they are good. Actually,
Nevada's good.
I almost think that. I almost think that if you win that first round the way I think they're going to, I almost feel, I don't know. I do think the more you win, the less stressed you feel each game. Like which is weird. Usually it ratchets up, but I feel like this team, just the only thing that's going to be like, not letting that happen again, and then kind of relaxing from there.
And Indy makes a huge difference to me. To me, another big difference between this and last year is Indy. It's basically home court. It should be home court. They've played there multiple times over the last 2 years, right? What were you saying, Michael? Sorry.
Here's the thing. There's good teams in this bracket. I'm not saying that that's not true. But none of these teams can beat Purdue without a huge assist from Purdue.
Yeah.
So, really, the only thing that causes Purdue to lose games this season is turnovers.
Yep.
Turnover. They can overcome a cold game by Lawyer, a cold game by Lance. They can overcome multiple starters having bad games and still win. The only thing that hurts them is when they turn the ball over 14 or more times.
It's that 12. I was actually looking at it.
Is it 12? Yeah.
At 12 over 12 and under 34% from 3, and that is when the games get tight.
And I'd say most teams, that's the formula.
And again, those are they're the four. But the 4 factors are the 4 factors for a reason. Effective field goal percentage, turnovers, offensive rebounds. You're generating extra possessions. Those are that is how you win. This is why Painter's teams, especially in the second half of the tenure here, post 2014, do so well in KenPom, is because he Painter's an analytics guy, and that maximize possessions, make your shots, get to the free throw line. The 4th factor is free throws attempted, and obviously Purdue does does well there, right?
Well, I want to quote Brother Dad. I think you were saying this during. I think this was so good when we were talking about when the bracket came out, and we were saying, that team worries me, that team worries me, and you said the consensus here at AJ's is the team that worries everybody the most is Purdue.
Yeah,
yes, yeah, that's it.
That's kind of what Michael's saying, right?
And that's a great. It's when you're trying to put your finger on it, wow, there's this region, I don't know. Yeah, the reason you're feeling
the only team that I think that Purdue could play their best game and still struggle against would potentially be UConn.
Yes.
And in the whole field, if Purdue plays their best game, it's not a guarantee of beating UConn, but it is for everybody else. Get out of here, Houston.
I would love that. Everyone would love that. Everyone would love to see UConn and Purdue go.
Yeah, to me, UConn, Purdue, and Houston. Yeah, UConn, Purdue, Houston, have been the three dominant teams all year.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been, and UConn has looked like not flawless, but because they obviously.
I don't know. They've looked pretty.
31-4.
I was gonna say they had
really
a.
Did you watch the Creighton game?
That was their one hiccup. They got smoked.
Because I watched it, and it was like midway through the first half. It was like, holy moly, these guys got them. Like you could just see it. There's one dude who was lighting them on fire, and they couldn't stop it.
We'll talk about Creighton in a second, but of the teams in Salt Lake on the other side here, so we're not feeling Gonzaga. Kansas might be kind of shaky.
Always a threat. Come on,
and so there is.
But I'm not
Kansas is Kansas.
I love Kansas. I'll be honest. There are a couple things I love about the potential of playing Kansas at that point is
because of the
number
way Purdue
one,
plays.
I cannot stand Dickinson. I cannot stand Dickinson. I cannot stand Self. Number two, I wanted the shot at them in Maui and we didn't get it.
That would have been great.
Yeah. So having a chance to send Dickinson packing for his career, that's really beautiful for me. And at that point, there's no there's none of that fear of the first two rounds coming where you're like, okay, they did it again, Purdue did it again. No, everybody says Kansas is pretty good. They've been pretty good all season. Even though they've been a little disappointing, they've still been really good. So that type of pressure is gone. Now you just go play basketball. And I think Self will be like, oh yeah, Dickinson versus Edey, no problem. I think we'll get that. And now you're like, okay, now you're playing into Purdue's hands. When teams play that way against Purdue, good things happen.
The only issue with Dickinson is if he hits his threes, he's a very tough matchup for Edey. And he showed that at Michigan. But I still don't think he's not going to be 100%. They still have other injury issues. I don't know if Kansas can win enough games to get.
I think they're done before that.
There's a non-zero chance that if Purdue makes it out of Indy, the matchup they see in the Sweet 16 is a double-digit seed.
Could be McNeese or Stanford, yeah.
And again, when has that ever worked out poorly for Purdue? Hey, who knows? And so on the other side,
how about that? Oh, dang it! I don't even talk about that scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about it. Yep. On the other side,
South Carolina's sneaky good.
Oh, South
Carolina's good.
South Carolina, Oregon. That's
I can tell you,
a fun game.
if you want to look at a team that's scary, like the teams that always bother me, like the 8 and 9s I was saying about the guys who didn't reach their potential.
Mm-hmm.
FAU, right? Didn't reach their potential this year, but they've got tools and they're really
Final Four last year. I mean,
now watch Oregon play and you'll be like, that's another team.
That's
holy crap!
Oregon did not play to their talent, but that inconsistency bites you when you got to win 4 games.
Right. But it doesn't bite when you got to win 1, right? So they can get past South Carolina and then they'd lose the next round to Akron because clearly Akron's going to get past.
I am impressed with Creighton, man. I mean, and I know we've talked about this, and eventually, if this ends up as the Elite Eight game, I'm sure that they're going to talk. A lot of more people are going to talk about this. But the Zach Edey sliding doors moment is that Kalkbrenner was who Painter wanted. Kalkbrenner and Dickinson were who Painter wanted. Didn't get either.
Isn't that awesome?
And ended up with Zach Edey. Yeah. And I think we're all, regardless of the talent, because the talent is absolutely there. I think we're all a little bit thankful we didn't have to root for Hunter Dickinson. But Kalkbrenner is a beast, man. He's really good. Now,
real skilled, yeah.
But the matchup against Zach Edey, if they're the ones that end up in the Elite Eight, is not preferable for Creighton. That being said, though,
check this out, Anish. Check out this though. Another big in this region. Oregon's center is a former 5-star recruit. He stayed at Oregon, I believe, the entire time. He's either a 4th or 5th year senior, and you watch him play, it's like watching Cliff from Rutgers, but better. He's more athletic, quicker off the court. He looks like a specimen. The dude's an absolute beast. And he's that athletic big that I'm like, okay, if there's somebody that Edey struggles against, it's the athletic big, right? Yeah. Holy moly, Oregon. I'm telling you, that team, that roster is really, really good. And that's a team, by the way. So if Oregon gets past South Carolina's bigs are kind of doughy. I mean, they're good, but they're doughy. They have a guy that pops out and hits threes. He's a big man. I think he's 6'10", 6'11". Dang nabbit. But Oregon playing Creighton. I think Oregon can get past Creighton again because they got a big that can match up with Kalkenbrenner.
I mean that 4 right there is going to be really fun.
Yeah,
Like that's
really fun to
that's some sicko like March Madness.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is where eyes will be. Like I love that, and it's in Pittsburgh, so maybe I'll go.
I bet this half of the bracket goes chalk.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
think
like
chalk?
Texas here, Tennessee here. So you think Tennessee is coming out?
I think Tennessee's going to be tough for any of these
They're a
teams.
beast.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
They're way more
Yeah.
athletic than any of the Tennessee's a good team. They could win
Will
this
they?
one.
Will they
They're
get
very
back? Will they get past the Peacocks? I mean, that's what the chat wants to know.
I really wanted St. Peter's to be the 16 for.
Yeah,
I would like to see.
And they're
St.
not a
Peter's
very
in the
good
Elite
15.
Eight.
No, they're going to get smoked in that.
Yeah, it'll be bad.
I think that South.
Hollowell's coach, guys. That was the secret sauce. Like that dude's a great
Correct.
motivator.
Correct.
Like seriously.
I'm telling you, every year, except again, this is not to
That Painter
this is
coaching
not,
tree.
this is not to degrade any of the other losses or anything like that. But every other, or to play down any of the other losses, but every other loss has been to an all-star coach. Like every single one, they are really good, brilliant, rising
How did they move to
coaches.
North Texas? I don't know. Friggin' Chris Beard. No, that was Arkansas Little Rock. Sorry.
North Texas with Grant McCasland, who's now at Tech, I think, or somewhere. Like he's still he's moved up.
Right.
Like he's really good.
You're saying,
Except
I hope
for
they all send him Christmas cards.
exactly.
Oh,
Except
send
for
him-
last year.
send him money.
If Oregon beats South Carolina, you could see Oregon maybe putting together a couple of games and disrupting this. But I really think that this lower half goes chalk.
I kind of agree. I think, but my pick would be chalk down there.
I think I'd take.
So you
Creighton
say the
back
lower
here.
half, the Texas, Virginia, Tennessee, St. Pete.
No, I'm saying this whole.
Oh, I
lower
don't
half
think
of
so.
The Midwest.
I would watch,
Unless
and I may
Oregon-
be wrong. I just feel like the Pac-12 is due another stupid run where nobody's looking at them, and I think one or two teams will just
in
like,
that
show up.
scenario, Oregon's the pick. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
And
Or
I watched them
Washington
play
State.
in that tournament too many times. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
man,
yeah.
they're
I
good.
see where
Do
you're
you
going.
fear? Are there any? Do you fear a Tennessee?
Tennessee worries me. Yes,
I mean,
Tennessee worries
always they have the athletes. They
Because-
have their
because
fast style of play.
Purdue
they
has
have-
done well against them. That's the crazy thing. Regular season and tournament, Purdue's done very well against Tennessee.
Yeah, you're
So I
kind
don't-
of due for a loss too. I
Well,
don't mean to be
right.
smart ass,
Like
right?
Barnes has got to figure it out eventually. People can joke about Barnes not going to enough Final Fours, but he's a good coach.
Well,
And
he's a good.
Man's
He's a
guy.
good coach, but
He's a good coach. So is
again,
Gene K.
if Purdue doesn't turn the ball over, they win that game.
Sure.
Like if they are
Yes.
under 10 turnovers or around 10 turnovers, they
I
win
don't
the game.
think
And there's
anybody.
nothing. Tennessee can play their best game, and if Purdue has 8 turnovers, Purdue wins that game.
But right, isn't that true? When, like you said, against anyone, if that happens,
For
against
UConn.
maybe not UConn, but if they get there, I think I said this to like I saw someone someone replied to me on Twitter when I said I don't care whether Purdue's the first or the third number 1 seed because that really doesn't matter. And the
Doesn't
proof
matter.
of how the bracket laid out is proof that it doesn't matter. Because
Right.
UConn did not get an easy path, and they're the
No.
number 1 overall supposedly. And what somebody replied to me and said, "Well, I kind of like to be on the other side of the bracket from UConn." This is before the bracket came out. They were like, "It kind of
Look
matters."
at UConn's path. Like
No,
I
no.
look at that. That's terrifying to me.
It is terrifying.
It's terrifying. That is, there are teams on every line that can
Every
beat
line,
They might have to
there's
play
fear.
Florida Atlantic,
Two Final
San
Four
Diego
teams from
State,
last year.
Auburn
They
is
have to play Final Four teams from
Auburn,
last year
Auburn,
back to
man.
back. They might have to play Florida Atlantic, then San Diego State.
By the way, we discount this, and we shouldn't discount this. But the coaches in a tournament who have won before, they figure out something magical in the timeouts. And look, FAU magic, San Diego State magic, Auburn magic. Holy crap, guys! I wouldn't want UConn's road. I prefer Purdue's road.
You're rewarded. Like you have to play Auburn. Like if you get to the Sweet 16 and you got to play.
Yeah, congratulations.
Go down a little further.
Congratulations.
Press
That's
that one.
going to be a terrible game for you.
Scroll
Like,
down.
can you scroll down a little, Niche?
Even like
You
Duquesne,
might have Illinois waiting for
a
you.
talented team. You
Or
got-
We
Iowa
know
State.
Illinois is going to lose their first game, Jay. I mean,
hope they do.
that's the Brad Underwood way. I mean,
I actually, so I'll tell you, my bracket, I have
yeah, I
Iowa
want to hear what you
State
say.
getting there.
What'd you say?
Iowa State is good, and they
I have
are
Iowa
good.
Iowa State's
and-
really good, and they're
The problem
mean.
with Iowa State is their defense is so tough that even
Yeah.
if you win, you're going to hate yourself.
Yes.
It's not going to be a fun experience.
No.
I'm glad they're not the 2 in Purdue. So I would agree. This
Same.
region is the bracket.
I mean,
This is
they
the
had
right
every. Now, I probably wouldn't have picked them. I actually probably. I think who was the
Jack
other?
Rabbits?
Who was the other 2 that was really good? Anyway, I probably they had a very good argument though. Iowa State as the
Be
fourth
that
number
fourth
one.
one.
over North Carolina.
Over North Carolina, who's very much a paper tiger.
Surprising number one for me. To be honest.
Oh, but the problem is, Michael, nobody wanted that seed. I kept talking about that over the last
I
2
don't think
weeks.
it's that
That
surprising.
fourth number 1 seed, like I was like, everybody keeps pushing it back to the middle of the table. Tennessee says we don't want it. Arizona's like, we don't want it.
That's
Duke
true.
obviously
This
didn't
is
want
a
it. North
team-
Carolina's like, okay, I guess we'll take it.
North Carolina won. They won the ACC. They swept Duke. Like they had a really good year.
I don't know.
mean,
Yes.
No, they had a no, they didn't. They had a little bit of a swoon too.
Yes.
Like-
everybody did, except for the top 3 teams in the nation.
That's
Everybody
true.
Arizona-
did.
That's
So-
very true. Here's the
Arizona
thing:
had
if
to
I were a
represent
North
too.
Carolina apologist, I would say be aware that your guy that defines your team depends on who's your leader. Is it Baycott or who's the guard? Help me. They both won the national championship. They're both on that natty team. But
Really?
Baycott, to me, he can be a whiny baby and he can just ruin a team. If he's in a bad mood, he's like Dickinson almost, not
Are you
that
thinking
bad,
of RJ
but he
Davis?
can ruin a team in the way they're feeling about themselves if he's bitchy. And so, like, I'm like, okay, yeah. When I look at this one, so do you guys see? How about this first one? That 8-9, it's got my attention.
Mississippi State. They're
You
good.
got
This, by the way,
Real
is
athletic.
a classic Izzo upset of the number 1 seed. In the
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. This is actually where I feel kind of strongly that it's like if you want to pick good value going for the underachieving, talented,
RJ
team,
Davis,
underseeded teams, I hate it. I hate it so much.
No,
Because I
Do
think
not worry.
like Michigan State could absolutely get through this.
they're 5 games over 500.
They have,
I
they
agree.
have the
They're not
thing that
good.
you need to win. They've got a really
An
good
inability to score.
scoring guard.
Do they? Really good?
Good
So,
enough.
so Tyson
and you-
Walker is really good.
And
No,
you need him
no doubt.
to be otherworldly if you're going to beat North Carolina.
But I think Walker's that good if his hamstring's healthy. I'll say the next part though, if you want to just look right next to him, AJ Hoggard to me is a guy that I don't have any faith in ever.
Yeah,
I think he's my comparison to hit it close to home is Tyrone Johnson, where you're like a guy that didn't improve a lot during his 4
Mhm.
years, right?
I have
Not a ton of athleticism, right? A solid scorer, plays with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he's really playing it with grit. Walker is legit, man. Walker can score on anybody. So
is this the point of our show where I get to talk about how bad Michigan State sucks?
do
Not
it.
Yes, go
Not
for
just
it.
underachieved. I know I told you guys this today, so I'll share this with everyone. I know they're 24 in the net, but they are
Bullshit.
3-9 against quad one games. They are 6-5 in
This is
quad
fine.
2 games. They have 5 quad 2 losses.
Spit, Jay. Keep going.
Well, I don't understand. Like,
You're not wrong, but if I'm sitting in one of those cozy chairs at the MGM and I've got like a couple Long Island iced teas in me and I'm thinking about it for round 2, like why don't I throw a
Of course, you're gonna throw on
few
Michigan. You'll be like,
ducats
yeah,
on
Michigan State. Yeah,
over North Carolina?
why?
And then
Because-
team
I
that
don't
got
know,
that.
integrity?
Do you guys have who do you have? St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. That one, I love that game.
That's
By the way,
another
Michigan
sick
State
game.
against
I love
ranked
it.
teams is 2-7. I was trying to find that stat for
That's a
you too.
good one. That's a
They're,
good
they're,
one. Jay.
they're not good. They're not good by any measure except the net that somehow has decided.
No,
as
they're
you
good
joked
by they
about,
have that bobblehead coach who's
they-
been
they
good in the
lose
tournament.
gritty
That's
games.
why they're good. That's it. That's their story.
I think,
suck. Sorry.
I guess Walker
Yes,
is good
they
too,
are.
Michael. I'll give you
To
that.
answer your
So
question, St. Mary's is going to win that game. St. Mary's is pretty good.
I think
like
Grand
Grand Canyon,
Canyon has
though.
a shot in that
I do
game,
too.
and I
They have a
think
shot,
that
sure.
St. Mary's is a legit Elite 8 team.
Well, they can't both
They've been
win.
good all year. The problem that we have with St. Mary's is they played in a conference that where they just get tickled to death for.
You
I
love
don't
that
know if you guys ever heard me say
You
that.
love that conference. They won at Gonzaga. Then they beat Gonzaga.
Oh, they won at Gonzaga. You want to impress me? Woo!
Tickled. I think you said the same line about Gonzaga getting
Last
tickled to death last year.
Yes,
Exactly.
you're gonna hear it over
That's
and
one
over
of
until
my
I
favorite
die.
Gaudisms.
Yeah.
So
by the way, if you want to fear somebody, fear Alabama.
We talked about the bottom half.
Alabama. That team can score and score and score until you are just like completely scrambled in the head. You want to talk about just fear? Is Sears getting on and playing his best games in this tournament? Oh, be afraid of that. There's a lot of stuff. That's some fun stuff in that.
I mentioned like the bottom half of the Midwest could go chalk. The top half of the West could be utter
chaos.
Anarchy. Like it is the most anarchy, like viable half of any of the regions in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like Grand Canyon is gonna pop out of there.
I'm telling you, Grand Canyon, fear Grand Canyon, man. That's another one. That's one that got my attention. I'm with you. All right, let's go down here. Okay, who's the biggest pretender in this group? Anybody?
So this is the bottom. Baylor. This is the bottom half of the West.
Biggest pretender?
I mean, I am. Pretender. So first, I do want to say I don't take Tennessee lightly. If Purdue ends up with a Tennessee matchup in the Elite Eight, I'm not going to be comfortable with that.
Sure,
I am thrilled that Purdue did not get Arizona. I think Arizona's really good. I think Arizona should be the favorite in the West, and so I think they just
you already packed them up this year, man.
They did, but here's what happened. So Purdue beats Arizona. Arizona goes for a long walk in the desert to find themselves. Loses a couple games, comes back, and they're like, "Oh, actually, we're like the most talented team in the nation."
Oh wait, we just checked.
Oh wait, we forgot.
We've got 4 NBA guys on our
just
team.
Like knocked some sense.
Fletcher Loyer scored 27 against them.
Yeah, he was like, "You suck."
That was a
I'm Fletcher effing Loyer. I'm the baddest dude in Indianapolis.
My favorite subplot. We'll get to the pretender comment in a second. My favorite subplot of this part of the bracket is Dan Monson at Long Beach State getting fired on a 5-game losing streak and then winning his conference tournament.
Now listen, guys. I told you guys this. I haven't told the world yet Dan Monson's problem, his bigger problem. But I've told you guys. I know I told Jay. I don't know if I told everybody. Huh? Yeah, he's the undead. If you look at him, you're like, okay, yeah, he doesn't have a heartbeat because his skin is too pale. It's like it's a chalky gray-white color. Okay. And you can get away with that when you're hanging around with people in Minnesota because there's no sun in Minnesota in the winter. But when you go out to Long Beach, pretty quickly they start saying, "Hey, dagnabbit, man, you look like a granite rock. You look like it's not life in your face." And so after a while, they catch on that you're either you're a zombie or you're a vampire. And then they're like, "This isn't cool." So they fire you, right? They figure you out. And then you like come out of your coffin and all of a sudden you're alive again, right? And you lead your team to a championship and you're in the tournament all of a sudden.
Nosferatu being your head coach.
What'd you say?
Nosferatu, the vampire?
Yeah.
No.
I would be in on that. And speaking of, I'm pretty sure Dan Monson was the first Gonzaga, like the first run of Gonzaga
that's true.
coach. Which was
when
new
Gonzaga, not like the old Coke, but the new Gonzaga.
There you go. It is so. Which is the biggest pretender? These are all like the outside of Arizona.
Is this the least interesting bracket? Yeah,
it is. I mean, and I know that everyone is excited about Baylor, but I'm not very excited.
I was gonna say Clemson, Baylor, Arizona.
That's why they're so
good,
exciting, Michael. You're missing the point.
I think New Mexico is going to beat Clemson. I think Little Patino has it.
I do too. There's my pretender. You just figured.
That's a great one. That's a good one. Yeah, that might be easy one.
Clemson is a pretender.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretending for half the season to be good, and nobody's figured out that the ACC actually sucks. And Clemson is the lead sucker of them all. They've got a bunch of guys on the team that look like they should have never played college basketball, and somehow they're the 6th seed.
That's kind of Nebraska, though. I think I made a comment to that effect
I love Nebraska.
the other night.
Nebraska's
Shut
good.
your mouth.
They are good, but they all look like
Tamanaga. Shut up.
Oh, they don't. They look like a rec team.
I want to hug him.
They look like a men's league team.
They don't just look like a rec league. They look like a bunch of like 26-year-olds who used to play in a rec league,
Right.
who are now like at the YMCA, but just like cleaning up.
Like stretching to get started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, my shoulder's been hurting, guys.
The headband.
Shoulder. Why does that? Oh, my shoulder.
I still love the guy that. So somebody in the comments, by the way, made a comment about Indiana State having a good net, and I'm glad you guys brought that up because they got screwed. And if we're looking at net, which apparently we did for Michigan State.
Only matters for Michigan State.
Indiana State is 28 in the net. And St. John's, I know nobody has any love for Patino, but they're 32nd. They have a right to be a little like annoyed by this. And Indiana State has that kid that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That is such an amazing nickname. I can't get enough of it.
You can't get over it.
It's so great.
Here's a fun factoid about this little group right here. Colgate has gone to 5 straight tournaments.
The toothpaste. The mighty toothpaste.
Yeah. So Colgate's due for a run, but sadly Baylor's going to just knock the hell out of them right away.
I think Baylor's a bit overrated, but I don't think Baylor's going to have too much of a problem.
No,
I feel like
that's why
3-14s are blowouts. Right?
That's why I think out of this region, it's like Arizona should have a sleepwalk past to the Elite Eight.
To the Elite Eight. Absolutely.
Okay, here I'm going to give you one problem with that. One problem.
Dayton.
That's Steve Alford.
He doesn't coach Arizona.
Doesn't it? Nevada, right? Isn't that where he is?
Is he still there?
I think so. Who the hell knows about Steve Alford? So, okay, I will say, even if it's not Nevada, even if it's not Steve Alford at Nevada, the Mountain West.
You're right.
They are tough. The Mountain West is tough. New Mexico, for some reason, wears turquoise uniforms sometimes. Maybe they'll bring those out versus Clemson just for fun. And you'll be confused. You're like, who am I watching? Who the hell knows? Right? But they just beat Clemson. That's what you're going to be saying to yourself.
Turquoise makes sense for New Mexico. If you ever been to New Mexico,
it's not color. Colors are red, black, and white.
Yeah, but turquoise is the state color of that.
So you saying Purdue should wear gold because of corn? Wait a second.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Give him a second.
Long live the gold jersey. By the way, I'm going to say what I've said to you guys.
Yeah, do it.
I do not want the throwback as much. I don't want it as often as they're using it, and I don't want it in the first round. Is that fair? Can I not have it in the first round?
I understand why you're saying that because we all died that day. And
Purdue uses them. They used them against FDU.
Yeah.
I don't remember that game.
Yes. Wow.
I really don't remember.
They did wear those in the game.
I wish they could get numbers that you could see from any higher than the 5th row.
Man, you're an old man. Goodness, you're old. Like that's all I can think when you say.
I like their
music between plays.
I like their actual.
Zach Edey's numbers are in like 12-point font.
They are. I like their actual home and road, and I like their kits. I like their current jerseys because.
Look at you with your MLS talk kit.
Well, I like the whole thing.
You're very cosmopolitan, Jay. Ooh.
Where it actually comes from. All right.
Where's it come from? What's that?
I mean, European soccer.
Okay, we don't need to talk about that. Let's just stop. Let's move on. Whatever that was, I don't know. Anish, I'm sure you're going to jump in with some Manchester University. I don't know what it is. I don't like it, though, guys. I'm from America.
I agree. I don't like Man U either.
Okay.
What's
the crappy team you like?
Man U is bad.
So you wear a scarf and that's your favorite team.
Newcastle. That's the crappy team I root for.
Newcastle?
They're the latest team bought by billionaires. I
root for whatever Ryan Reynolds like because he's dreamy. All right, like he's owned something.
They're like the 6th league.
I don't know anything about
that. Okay, so back to the important thing. Someone on Reddit. I spent a lot of time on Reddit today. We were on airplanes, but someone on Reddit.
Nothing can go wrong on Reddit.
In the last 3 seasons, there's always been an upset by a team that had some sort of
white guy.
Their name was evocative of some phallic imagery.
Ooh.
St. Peter's, that sort of thing.
I guess
we have the number 16.
Longwood
playing a Houston team that just scored 41 points in a conference.
Don't you guys love it when a team shows up in the tournament and you're like, what the hell school
I've never even heard of this one.
Yeah. Who thought to name this school Longwood?
Like the first time you saw Grand Canyon in the tournament, were you like,
well, that's a new school. That's different. I'm sure.
Is it an online college? Because I feel like it's like
University of Phoenix.
University of Phoenix.
University of Phoenix in the bracket would be great.
I just heard.
Do you guys hold on? Do you guys?
Where they talked about these fake schools that would spin up and scam students and then disappear.
Yes.
And it just sounds like if I were spinning up fake schools to scam students and
if we were letting you
I
name
would
them.
call myself Grand Canyon University.
Or Longwood.
Or Longwood. That's fair. Yeah.
I wonder if Home Field's got a Longwood shirt.
They will.
I bet they will soon. Exactly. When they beat Houston, they will.
Do any of you know? Did any of you look up anything about the Fighting Longwoods?
I didn't look up.
I want
calling them the Fighting Longwoods is so much worse.
I want your
better.
3 guesses as to where they are located.
Oh, boy.
Boiler Dowd, where
Well,
are the
okay, I'm going to
Fighting
think
Longwoods?
of tall trees. I'm going to
New
say Northern
Jersey.
California, San Francisco area, Bay Area. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody's
okay.
typing.
Cherry Hill,
Somebody's
New
typing.
Jersey.
I hear someone
That
Googling.
was me.
I'm not doing it. My hands are.
Michael, you are up next.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Another New Jersey 16 seed upset.
I'm
Could we
impressed.
see
I don't
it?
like
Who
this,
knows?
though.
I'm impressed that you know Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Of course. Who doesn't know the pride? The
Exactly.
jewel of
Everybody
New
knows
Jersey?
Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Jay.
J Money, where is Longwood?
I like the Pacific Northwest guess because of the affiliating with trees, but I'm going to guess it's not at all
It's
about
not going to
that.
be at all.
And it's like Bill Longwood was the founder or something.
Yeah,
Like
and they're in a
Redwood,
city. They're in a
Arkansas or
city
something.
center,
I'm
right?
going to say they're somewhere in Texas.
Okay, so we have Texas, California, and New Jersey.
My second guess would be a big city in the Northeast.
So by geography rules, Michael wins. They are located in Virginia.
Of course.
Where at in Virginia?
They are located in Farmville, Virginia.
Where the
they-
hell
are
is
they-
Farmville?
I don't know, but at one
Longwood
point,
University.
at one point they were Farmville Female Seminary, which
Ooh.
is
So it's a girls' team.
Ooh.
Exactly. I don't understand how
That's awesome.
a female seminary
them.
turned into Longwood. But they
I feel like that
were
might be too much for a female. Like
How dare you?
medium wood.
You pig! You're a pig, Michael. You're a pig in every way. That's awful.
They can play Houston. How dare you?
Innuendo and the goodness gracious.
oh my gosh,
It's
it is
2024.
literally in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, it really is.
This is
So who goes
As
to
the
Longwood? What do you go
road
to
is-
It looks
study
like
at
it's about
Longwood?
Anish. It looks like it's about 2 hours east of Blacksburg.
I was gonna say that right when you get about 5
Nothing
minutes
doing
out
at
of
Longwood
Virginia
is what you're
Tech,
saying.
there's
Nothing to do.
Longwooding each other.
just a very boring place. Longwood.
Smallwood.
Yeah. Well,
Small.
I don't. So
Placid.
the namesake being the nearby estate purchased by the presidential administration in like the 40s. So that apparently was the Longwood Estate, is what they were named after.
all right. Next up, tell us where Nebraska is.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
can
I don't
tell
even know
us
what that
where
means.
They are.
Where's
I
a
thought-
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Guys,
This is
I
a
ran out
basketball
of
school now?
gas
Is it
in
a basketball
Nebraska.
school? Can I get my shots in here? Is it a basketball school? Let's be honest. Come on.
They're definitely not. I
yeah.
mean, maybe
They
field
are a
hockey school.
basketball school, and they've never won a game in the NCAA tournament. So, what does that tell you about the other
Wow.
schools in Nebraska?
That's the
Nebraska
only
ball.
team in the Big Ten left that hasn't won one.
But they had been there. That was the
and
thing.
it's not going to change because I think A&M
Got him.
is gonna
Nope.
be-
No, I disagree.
Not
I
your
think-
Aggies this time, Michael. I say Mast
Oh,
and Tony
Aggies are
Naga
looking
do
good
their
these last couple
thing.
games.
I like Nebraska in this game.
I did too.
I
So
think-
here's
I think
the
Aggies might be-
Big
And I
Ten.
think they can
Big
give
Ten,
Houston trouble.
Big Ten.
And I think they
Big
can give
Ten.
Houston trouble. I
Well,
legit
so
think they
the Nebraska
That would be
A&M game, really quickly, the storyline there is Trev Alberts left for A&M.
That's right.
Oh,
And so here's
The committee has a
Here's-
sense of humor.
here. No, you have no idea because Dave pointed out this in the group chat. They are not only paired in the men's tournament, they are paired in the women's tournament
what
as
the
well.
heck? So he's
they're
got to
playing
be at
like-
both of those games. That's awesome.
It's the
They're
best.
playing back-to-back days. I heard this trivia today. They're like literally traveling all together because they're playing back-to-back days, I believe. Oh no, that's two other. I'm sorry, that's two other programs. I'm completely confusing that. This happened with two other teams. The men's and women's are matched up in the NIT. The women's and the men's NIT,
Totally
and they're playing
intentional.
one day apart.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Maybe they can travel at the same time.
It's going to be. That's the way the Big Ten's going to be for all non-revenue sports in the future years. They're going to
Again, I know we were talking about kind of pretenders, and I'm sure that this is going to bite me like going forward.
Oh,
but
I know
we
where we're
played.
going. Let's do it.
We played
Let's do it.
Wisconsin, and Duke is bad. Duke is bad, man.
Duke's soft. Listen,
Duke is not a good team.
Duke is super talented and mentally
mentally
in here
so
they got
soft.
nothing. They got
Oh.
nothing.
North Carolina
too,
took
same.
their freaking soul, and it was awesome. It was
Yes.
so great.
Duke
I
is
think
not there. Duke is the biggest group.
Ready? JMU over Duke. Let's
JMU.
go, baby.
JMU could be in the Sweet 16. I love
Hell
that.
yeah,
idea.
they could.
I mean,
Well,
really,
I
again,
know
like,
no one wants to admit this, but
Because Greg
Wisconsin-
Gard's a punk ass.
But
What were you
Wisconsin's
saying,
what?
Michael?
You don't
I
want to
think
admit it.
if AJ Store plays the way that he's been playing over the last
he's
3
really
weeks,
good. He
they
should
are
be
a tough team to beat between him and Chucky. That's a tough team. To
Wisconsin?
beat. Yeah.
Greg's Store is great.
Store has
is
been playing
great.
out of his mind in the last
Chucky
3
is a
weeks.
perfect fit at
For a week?
Wisconsin.
They were dreadful down the stretch, man. They were
No,
dreadful.
they turned it around. They did have a period of time in January and February. Basically January and February.
After Purdue beat them when they were number 6, they went into a nosedive. They lost like
I'm
6
just-
out of
I'm
7
just
or
telling you,
something.
look, Purdue had just the toughest time in the world with AJ Store. I think he's a good player. And I think if you got 2 guys who are playing at their best with Chucky and Store, I think they are a team that could find themselves against Texas A&M for a chance to go to the Elite Eight.
Am I the only one when I see Hepburn playing, I think about Mario Brothers and one of the mushrooms?
Because of the hair.
The hair
You
and
know
the
what, though?
thing
You
on his
gotta
hair.
give it to him. Like, that dude plays hard. And he
I
took
don't
it-
hate him like I do
took it to Purdue.
Klesmit.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, Klesmit is the guy, right?
He's a
I mean, like
punk ass.
Klesmit, and what's the other guy? The big dude, the goon.
Wall.
Yeah.
Well, Wall's funny because he's the pretty big dude. He's the fake nice guy. That's the one that I dislike more than any of them because he won't just say, "Yeah, I'm going to come in and foul." He tries to be pretty and tries to do spin moves. And you got Winter and Crowell over there doing the work, right? They got to beat the hell out of the real big man. And then Wall comes up and does a little spinny dance thing and then lays it in.
I feel bad for Winter in that game because there was nothing.
Oh, he's
that he could
horrible.
do. There's nothing that he could do against
No,
Zach
5
Edey.
fouls, man.
he's 5 fouls.
that's it.
Exactly. And
Doing this, there's just nothing you can do.
Here, I got a question for you guys because you guys have all played a lot of basketball. You guys are all great athletes. But let me ask you a question. When you're playing something in the post, right? I've been taught. I'm not a big man, but you arm bar them or maybe double arm bar them, right? To keep them, keep the base there. Why does Wisconsin big man use their face to wall up a guy?
So
What the hell are they doing? Who taught them how to do that? Literally, their faces are right on Zach Edey's shoulder.
So we all hate Hunter Dickinson, of course,
Sure.
because we should.
Sure.
But he had a very good comment earlier in the season on that stupid podcast of his, where he talks about the thing
You
that
listen to
actually.
a stupid podcast?
I saw clips of it. I saw a clip. The thing he
You
said that
love
the
him.
thing that makes Zach Edey so good is yes, he's got the moves, but that his lower body is so strong that you cannot move him. And Hunter Dickinson is 7'1".
Very strong and very big.
He's a very beefy guy. He's like, you cannot move him. So the real answer to your question, Dowd, is because they are literally putting their whole
everything into it.
everything into that, and it still doesn't make a difference because he's got redwoods for legs. I mean, the dude is unbelievable in his lower body strength.
Do you think, serious question, I'm not a lightweight man. You guys all know that. Do you think Zach Edey's right leg weighs more
Relative
or
to
less
what?
than me?
You're not light relative to what? Like a forklift or
I'm not a lightweight man.
no?
I just would say
You're
by
dense.
any
Very
dense.
dense.
Let me put it this way.
there's a lot of weight in a
I think
Let me
you'd be
put it
hard
this
to
way.
move in the
You
post.
could like
would
wrap your arms around his leg, and he could walk around
I'm sure you're right.
like when my kids were like
I'm
4.
sure.
And I could be standing straight up.
Yeah.
Right, Michael?
Yeah,
I'd
and
be.
you would just
You wouldn't
like-
even notice I'm there.
He'd have like maybe a slight limp, but
Yeah.
like,
He'd
for
be
the
like,
most
"Get
part,
out of
he'd
here,
be
you crazy kid!"
Just scamp.
Like at a kid's party is what you're
fine. Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
I'd be standing on his shoe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I
Now, let's be
don't
clear,
want
the
to.
rest of us would too.
I know we're talking about college basketball here, but Victor Wembanyama last night.
Oh my
got the-
gosh, man!
He got the ball in the post. He was looking to kick it out, and then he was like, "Wait a minute!
Wait,
this
maybe
6'8" guy is like way shorter than me," and just kind of laid it up. And it was like, "This
Okay,
is."
so I've been like you've been talking about Victor for a long time, and I watched the highlights of that, and I was like,
It's
"This
just-
looks like warped tape." It doesn't make any sense that he's doing the things he is. It's like the
It's
camera
like AI.
angle.
It's like give me a video of a player who like is built like Gumby. And
He had a play
Moves
last
like a
night where he
freaking
jumped
gazelle.
away from the basket, facing away from the basket, threw it behind him,
yes.
bank in.
Bank
I've
reverse.
never seen that before.
No, it made no sense.
I've
mean,
never seen that.
Again,
You
bring
will
it back
see-
to college basketball. He is taller than Zach Edey, and we make all of these things about how big Zach Edey is. It's wild. Anyway,
He looks like the old videos of Chamberlain playing.
it's
Except he moves so silky. Chamberlain looked equally out of place, right? You're like,
Yes.
nobody else is built like that on the court. But Chamberlain moved like you're like, okay, that's kind of a robot or a half man. You look at Wemby move, you're like, what the hell is happening? It doesn't make sense.
the league has like 3 years, and like for other people to win the
I
titles,
don't think it's 3 years.
and that's yeah. So in this group, I think Houston has a really easy shot. And if there was if I didn't watch any basketball in the last week, I'd say they're going to sleepwalk to the Elite Eight. But man, 41 points is not great.
I mean,
I don't buy it. Again, like it's
It's a
conference
shitty
tournaments.
loss. It's
Yeah.
bad to lose by 28 points. Obviously,
It was
anytime.
really bad.
But I don't.
It was really, really bad.
That game meant nothing. Just like Purdue, and there was nothing to gain in that.
Yeah,
game.
but like you sleepwalk your way through more than 41 points. Like, that's
I know.
just
I
inexcusable.
know. But I think, yeah. But being starting to doubt a team that's been that good all season on one game that was literally as
No,
meaningless
it's
as be
fair. It's
is not the right. I just think.
So
And
which
Simpson's a good
which
coach,
member of the
man.
Kentucky administration is sleeping with the selection?
Hey, man,
Holy moly!
So I was prepared to call Kentucky like the 4 or 5 seed that I was going to pick to the Final Four because,
Right.
like, I mean, they're
Right.
so talented. Rob Dillingham is incredible. He is such an electric guard. You could absolutely see that, and then all of a sudden they end up as a 3 with 9 losses. I don't understand it.
No,
Texas,
it doesn't make any
I
sense.
think Texas.
I thought Shepard was the guy we should watch at Kentucky. No,
Shepard is
Kentucky's
Shepard
got
is
some
the
guys.
fun.
Kentucky's got some guys, but I'm contradicting my bracket in
Yeah.
saying that I think Texas Tech can come out of this.
Did you say Brandon Newman will lead them to the Final 8?
No, that's
Anyway,
Western
dude.
Kentucky. That's Western. That's
Western.
Western.
I know. I just wanted to make.
If
you-
Western does it,
Words in
I'm
your
like
mouth.
I'm on the border of getting Western Kentucky like garb anyway. If
Yeah.
Western beats Marquette, I'm in. I'm done.
Yeah.
Home field.
I don't know if you
apparel.
know this. There's a lot of Purdue connections to Western
I
Kentucky.
know. That's what I
Holy
want.
crap!
I want to get some Western
keeps
Kentucky
happening.
gear. It's awesome.
I know.
Um,
And they've got the fun guy logo,
The Hilltopper.
mascot.
The Hilltopper.
Hilltopper. Is that a Hilltopper, Jay? Is that really what a Hilltopper?
I think
looks like?
he looks like he's kind of related to Grimace, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
If
so
you guys
there's
are
the-
Ben Rector fans, which you're probably not, Ben
Yeah,
Rector has it looks like the Hilltopper in some of his videos, which doesn't make any sense. It's just a red blob.
Yes.
There's the Hilltopper.
Mm-hmm.
There is the blob from Xavier, and then
Yes.
there's the other blob from St. Louis.
I thought you were
wanna
gonna say
get
the
shirts
Green
with all
Wave.
of them.
Wait,
And
wait.
there's
So the
Green
Billiken
Wave.
gets replaced. So the Billiken gets
The Billiken, thank you.
yeah. The Billiken is a fake. That's a fake thing. That's a mythological bird,
Blob.
I believe.
What are we?
It looks like a blob. It looks
Yeah.
very blob-like.
Yeah. Did you just ask what we're doing talking about blobs? I mean, that's the stupidest question I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
come
I
on.
mean,
I'm
like this, it's
completely
obvious. We're talking about basketball right now.
I think Kentucky comes out of this.
Whoa.
Yeah, this entire. I think they beat Houston. I think.
Well,
think
Marquette's
Marquette
playing
gets-
poorly, and Kolik's not really playing. And I
Yeah.
think if they don't come out of this, that is just
That's gonna be
just
it?
sit Calipari out.
Yeah.
Just say,
You know,
off
I
to
thought
pasture.
I prior to last week I would have guessed that like Florida would have been my dark horse to get out of this half of the bracket, but
Well,
they've
the low-
got
broken
an
leg,
injury
man.
issue.
That
Yeah.
guy broke his leg. That was
That's
bad.
really
brutal.
bad.
It's brutal.
Really bad.
Off like worst since Kevin Ware, I think.
It's
From a-
icky. Yeah. Is that the right word to use?
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
clinical.
Yeah,
term,
that's
yeah.
what my wife's
Kevin
a nurse.
Ware's
She
was
told me
worse
icky was what
because
made
his
me
was the
call it.
worst in the history of sports.
It
But
was
it
so
was-
bad.
Pretty bad.
By the
Right
way,
in
what
front of
round
them.
was that game in? The Louisville game
Game
where
before the championship was it? The-
No.
Yeah, final. What
no,
It was
this
that
is really.
far
I think
in?
it was the Elite Eight.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the Florida game last week in the conference.
I thought it
tournament.
was early in the
That was
tournament.
like the second round. That
Yeah,
was-
Yeah,
thought
I
it
think it
was
was Elite Eight. I think it was Elite
No,
Eight.
I think it was early.
I think it was like round of 32. I think.
The reason I think is Elite Eight because I think they're playing Michigan. Is that true or am I wrong?
I don't remember, but I remember that he went right down in front of the visiting team.
Regardless, it makes me want to throw up when
And,
I see
well, they
tapes
all-
of it.
is awful.
Because I only watch videotapes. I don't watch digital.
Oh, you were
Put 'em
right.
in.
It was the Elite Eight, but it was against Duke.
It was against Duke. Okay,
I
it was
would have
close.
guessed Duke. Yeah.
Dang it. Screw
Oh
Duke.
gosh,
Another
that
champ-
injury is just the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Did he play again?
Yes, he played against Purdue again, my friend.
Did he?
He played for Texas later in his career. Am I correct about that? I believe I am.
I will look it up.
Yeah, I believe he
Georgia
played
State.
against.
Georgia
Huh?
State.
Yeah,
Did he play against Purdue?
No, he went to go play for Ron Hunter, and Ron Hunter and Matt Painter have a bromance, much like Ron Hunter and everybody else.
How did
So
I
at that
believe
time,
he
was
played
at
against
Georgia
Purdue?
State.
What the hell?
He may
What
have,
happened there?
They may have that.
No, I'm wrong. I must be wrong. You're right, because he was hobbled. He actually, he wasn't right, like, and he was a ridiculous athlete before.
I
Yeah.
saw
Great
his leg bone. Of course, he was never
Yes.
right.
I haven't
would've-
seen many leg bones in my life.
I would have
that-
died. I would have just died. Just
Right.
died on
Is
the
that
you
the
look down
is
and
that
saw
the
that.
femur? Is it? I don't know what that is.
No, I think it was his tibia.
This is his tibia.
It's tibia. Thank you.
The lower bone, yeah.
Oh gosh, 2 bends in his leg.
And you don't
If-
want
if your
the lower
femur
bone
came
of
out-
another man.
That would be
You might die, like if your femur showing.
because it might cut your femoral artery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one to break, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah.
I
Myself-
would
I
die
bet you
with
need
all of
more
it.
than 50 pounds of force to break it.
Yeah, I think so. You need like a
Um,
car to hit you.
Icky is what we're talking about.
Gross.
Icky. So looking at coming back to home here.
Yep.
Purdue's kind of first week, first 2 games. After all of this, after looking at all of the paths that everybody has, how do you feel for this path to the Elite Eight? I know that we've already looked at this
Perfect.
already.
I'm
No
with you.
problem. Excellent.
This is
I-
great. This is a
This
great.
is great.
But guys, because this is, we can talk about this all we want. They've had great paths. They've had great opportunities. Like I don't, that doesn't change my feeling on anything. Like I don't
I agree.
because teams get knocked out. You know, you could be when you look over at that Connecticut path and like all those teams you were worried about somehow get upset and Connecticut's playing some craptastic team to go to the
Exactly.
Final Four. You're gonna be like, man, look at that. Now Purdue's
Yeah.
got to play Tennessee. You know, like
It's true that every year we anoint like a region of death, and every year we take a look back and we're like, well, that actually wasn't. It's true.
happened that
But
way.
again, to go back to the thing that I had said
Okay.
earlier, in the whole tournament, there's not a team other than UConn that I think is
Right. I'm a little worried. I think
Probably
Houston would run pretty well with Purdue. Actually, I think Houston.
I don't know. I've seen a couple of Houston games, and I'm not super.
They did
Aren't
well in
they-
Big
tell
12,
me if I'm
man.
wrong about this, because I've been wrong a lot the last couple of days, and good thing it's been documented on this site. But the Houston to me they would have a hard time playing to their strength with Purdue's strength. Do you think that's wrong because of the size?
Because the Purdue's having size. You mean?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Like,
That would be the one.
They're kind of prototypical modern basketball. Where you have a
Yes.
lot of guys between 6.
That's what I mean. I
Well,
feel like they could
and,
run.
To
with
that
Purdue
point,
a little
to
better.
that point, if we're still talking about the national championship or Final Four, I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
UConn is built fairly similarly through Klingon and through what's his name, the guard. It's a very similar, foundation that they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're a great team. Like these are
And
great teams.
And the scariest outside of those teams that you know are good are not on Purdue's side, like Iowa State. You know, like that's a team that actually would really worry me.
They're terrifying.
Like if they were the 2 instead of Tennessee, I'd be much more.
I'm telling you,
concerned.
Iowa State, Arizona, those are the 2 that I'm glad.
I
did
see
not
Arizona. I don't know, man. I know they're good. I know they're talented, but Purdue just
They're kind of looking good at the right time.
right. True.
Like,
True.
It seemed like they had
Like
peaked
Purdue in
too
November.
early, but then, like I said, they took some peyote in the desert and came back.
There was a wolf that talked to them.
Yeah, exactly. Some Oscawada, whatever that.
I love how we're talking about Arizona like we've never been there. We're like, it's just cactuses
Exactly.
and
Just cactus. There's
wolves.
nothing out
But it
there.
really is.
All I know about Arizona, I learned from that one Simpsons episode. So
I think that here's the scenarios that Jay has been annoyed by this supremely, and I'm going to talk about it
I
publicly.
can't wait. These are
People talking about bad matchups in the Final Four or the final game.
Like I said, somebody telling me they didn't want to be on the same side of the bracket. as
Come
UConn.
on,
I was
guys,
like,
girls.
who gives a shit?
You
You're gonna
gotta-
be
you
playing
gotta
with-
play good teams.
At that point, it's
Also,
good. It's
Purdue
gravy.
is a bad matchup for all of these teams.
Purdue's a
Correct.
shitty matchup for about anybody.
Not even UConn is looking at Purdue like, boy, I wish
Like,
we
oh,
could play
easy.
Purdue. That'd be
Right.
super easy.
This is what I would say.
Although
if I
they
were a
might- the
captain,
fans
if
might
I were a
say-
captain of
the
Purdue,
fans
okay,
might.
if I were one of the players, not a coach, what I would say is, boy, I almost just cursed really badly there, like in a way that was it was right there. What
This
I
is
would
a
say
family
is,
show.
I would
This is a
say,
family show.
gentlemen, you belong here. Enough bullshitting, okay? You belong in this position. You've shown it over 2
Sounds like
years.
the Miracles,
Stop
dude.
acting like you're pretenders. Stop acting like you're anything but elite, and go do the fucking thing. Just go do what you do.
I think this team is closer to what you just described than any Purdue team we've seen.
I am
They have that
completely in
dog in 'em.
accord, Jay.
They have that in them, and yes, Anish, that's right. But
Right.
there's no more excuses. They're the best
No.
team. They're the most
Damn it.
talented, the best
If it doesn't
player.
happen this
They
year,
had the
I'd
best
die
record.
without a Final Four.
They won the one of the major conferences. You've got the adversity to draw from. Like I don't like what don't you have a great coach?
What more do you need?
You have a great assistant
How
coach.
about this? How about this, Jay? You've got the grandfather of the program waiting in the wings.
Oh, I want it for Gene so bad.
Please.
I'm not.
Please.
I'm
I keep
not just
saying
saying
this.
this as a-
Let Gene see it.
Every Purdue fan wants it. I know that, but I really want it for Gene.
The culture is Gene Katie's culture still.
It's his court. It's his culture. He's there all the time. He's doing goofy ass videos on Instagram, which I love
Beautiful.
about
Love
him.
that
Wonderful.
video. It was a great video.
Oh my gosh.
and we were talking about this. It is very likely that 2030 will come, and Purdue will have had 2 coaches in the last 50 years.
It's awesome.
And Matt Painter is going to have every Purdue record in the books. He's going to be coaching longer than Gene was. If he crosses that threshold by that time, he's
2027
going to
it'll
be.
happen.
I mean, he's going to be the greatest coach in Purdue basketball history, and he is going to always function as if he is kind of the caretaker for Gene Katie's program.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why it's like, come on, man, come on. Why? Everybody just wants it for Painter.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, it's that. But I just want to. I want Gene to see it. That's just it. I want him to be there. He'll be in the middle of it. He'll be in the middle of it. In the
At least he got his Hall of Fame, and that's kind of what
That's great.
That's what I'm happy about. But I think he'd rather have a Final Four. I think he'd rather have a Purdue title than the Hall of Fame, and that says something about Gene. This is his program, right?
You know how badly Matt Painter wants that for him too.
Yeah.
You know he would be happy for so many people.
He wants it so bad he probably can't think about it. Like he genuinely probably can't really.
But I mean, one of those genuinely wanting it for someone else more than you. That's the kind of guy he is. Like he loves what he does, and he's not going to change who he is. But man, he knows what it would mean to so many people. So
yeah.
Somebody
Need to be in verse kind of says a quote up there. I don't know what it's from, but what I think about when I think about Purdue again this year, stop worrying about what they think you could do to us and thinking about making them worry about what you're going to do to them. And to me, that makes me think of the Bruce Lee quote, right? When you're locked in a room, you don't think about what are they going to do to me. You think they have to deal with me, right? That's the whole thing. Purdue needs to think that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're the effing big dog right here. There's a damn reason we got the 1 by our name. We earned this shit over the last 2 years.
Hmm?
I mean, go get what's yours. That's it. Just go get what's yours.
That's
And
what
then
I'm
we'll
saying with
handle
the
the
whole,
battle
like,
later. But first, go get what's yours.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Stop worrying.
Purdue is a matchup nightmare for any of these teams. Purdue can beat the team with the best ability to beat Purdue, as we talked about at the beginning, is Purdue.
Yep.
It is. I mean, we started with it. They're the 4 factors for a reason: turnovers and 3-point shooting. I mean, the rebounds are going to happen, and oftentimes Purdue's best defense is Zach Edey securing a defensive rebound, right? Or somehow Braden Smith crashing the defensive glass and ending up with it and kind of making the turn and kind of running.
And
Ends the
after the game, after the game this weekend, I'm not really worried about any injury things. Does anyone see anything that I didn't?
No, so I wanted to talk about that with the presser. There's clearly somebody asked a long time ago, have you heard anything about Braden Smith? And if you watch the pressers, you can tell Braden, Painter, everybody's like everything's fine. That's the story. Yeah. I want to ask you guys, you 3, Did you see anything that makes you think you're worried about Braden Smith the way
Nope.
he played? I
Nope.
agree.
Not really. I mean,
he did some Braden Smith things, but like it has nothing to do with his leg.
No. Like everybody's fine. I mean, like you can say like it sucks to hyperextend.
He wouldn't have been out there that long. He wouldn't have been out there.
That's the thing. I want the only thing that I'm concerned with about his leg is not the rebound, like because he's a good rebounder for a guard. Again, he's got plus 5 inches on his wingspan. Like he has a body that could survive at the next level. We will talk about this later. But like the biggest thing that I'm worried about with his leg is whether he can elevate at that like 17, 18 footer enough to get it in, because that opens up Purdue's offense when things are gummed up so well.
And he only needs to hit like 2 of those a game. That's all. That's enough. But
And that keeps him honest, right? You have to shade. Like you can't play loose. You can't play at the high screen. Like you can't play Edey.
Drop coverage against Braden Smith is a hilariously bad decision that coaches have been making.
Well, it's you're choosing between your certain deaths, right? You're choosing between Braden Smith's mid-range jumper or Zach Edey one on the post, right? And so if I were them, I would tell them go shade Edey and let's see if Braden can do this. With Braden's leg, that's the only thing that I worry about really.
But I didn't see a player that was favoring a particular leg. I saw a guy that was playing his game, so I'm not really worried.
I hope so. Your lips to whoever the basketball gods, maybe they'll like us this time.
Maybe.
It's been a long time of them not liking us.
Well, either way, Purdue is going to be in the history books this week because every time that a 16 seed beats a 1, the next year is very eventful, and so. That's the thing. Purdue we'll see you either way. I think Boiler Dad, you're planning a quick cast, at least one between now and Friday.
Absolutely.
Friday at 7:00. I think probably once we know, or not to volunteer you, but probably once we know the opponent, it's going to be there. But again, not like it really matters, Grambling or Montana State. Like Purdue should handle this. Purdue should handle this.
I know which team he's going to say is going to win.
By the way, if Purdue makes it to the Sweet 16, it'll have the most wins in a season. 31.
Ever. Really?
Ever.
If they make it to which round?
Sweet 16.
Two more.
Here, let me read this quote to you guys. When you find yourself in a room surrounded by your enemies, you should tell yourself, I'm not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me. This is the kind of mindset you need to have yourself to succeed in life. Get rid of the victim mentality. That's what Purdue needs to think about. I mean, shit. Like you guys have said over and over, the problem is everybody sees Purdue as a problem except for Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, every coach, all these people that hate Purdue, it all comes from this Purdue team being an absolute mother, right? And yet the doubt still lingers because we've all lived through this bullcrap, right?
Right.
So
you've just got to see it once. I mean, like
got to see it one time. Got to see it one time. And like I think Anish, you said it. You break through one time to the Final Four. What's it open up? What's it change?
The recruiting, the Painter's confidence. I mean, you heard what's his name at UConn, right? Like Hurley. Like it just opens up, and Painter gets the monkey off his back. It's not like he's leaving. It's not like any of these other coaches where if they don't get to, like, if they don't make a run, their job is kind of on the line. Painter's job will never be on the line, very likely, at Purdue. Like, he's got a lifetime job here, basically. But he will have that freed.
If he loses to 16, is he done with Purdue?
Oof. I mean, we're going to hear it. We heard it last year. I mean, J Money's thing is that for any other coach in America, it's a fireable offense, right? And so it's like, 2 in a row. But again, I don't think any of us are
I would think Paint would remove himself. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't think
but
so?
But we'll see. Like, that's the thing. It's like, none of us are too worried about that 16 game. But, it's been fine. It's been fine in the past. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
I just want, like, if Purdue's going to lose early in the tournament, I just want them to do so that Painter eventually loses for the cycle. and loses to every possible seed.
You want the bingo board.
Yeah,
You
the
want
I
the
10.
want the
bingo.
bingo board.
He said he needs the 10 and
They
the
got-
14. 10
They
and
got
14.
the hardest ones.
The
They got
hardest
the
ones are
hardest
out of the way. This is a
50,
possibility, and
I mean,
I will not be I will be excited in my own way if that happens.
as you
After-
walk
hey,
into the
listen,
whale's mouth.
I told you anything after a championship. If he wins that that
Oh
one
yeah,
banner,
if he
then
wins the
I'm fine with
championship,
it.
I'll be rooting.
That's what I'm rooting for. Yes, correct. I'll be rooting for the
for the
banner
cycle.
sweep. Exactly. And that'll happen this year, and it'll be fine, and we'll all get tattoos, and it'll be great.
And it'll just provide us an opportunity to reevaluate what we find important in life.
Exactly. What we've been wasting our time on for
So
years.
maybe we'll
years
find
and
something
years.
else to waste our time
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered it.
I think we've gotten
Really-
everything covered. I think
really-
everything's been solved.
I think everything has been solved. Yeah. And shouts to the folks in the chat who have stuck with us for an hour and 45 minutes.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't even like talking to you guys for an hour. and
No,
45
I'm
minutes.
disgusted by all of you.
It's like I'm not going to talk to any of you for a week after this. So,
Longer.
anything we want to plug?
I want to say, hey Ken, keep swinging. Everybody's rooting for you. Everybody's rooting for you. That's my big thing. I just want to keep telling my brother-in-law's father-in-law that Purdue fans that he's never met are thinking and praying about him. So praying for him.
Absolutely can.
Yeah. But for you guys, I got to tell you, it's so much fun to get together, talk about dumb shit that doesn't matter, and make it into a bigger deal, right? And make it into the most. Huh? What'd you say?
How fortunate are we?
How fortunate are we? How blessed are we to live this life where we can do this, right?
You know?
Ryan Shee over in the comments. He's not the only one, but he's going to be in Indianapolis watching our Boilers in person. Hopefully, he can bring home a victory. And at the same time, we can remember that none of this stuff is all that important in the real life. But boy, it feels great to pretend that's important, right?
Hell yeah.
Michael, Anish, Jay, always great meeting with you guys. Until we talk next time, I love you guys. Good night.